In 2023, BYD sold approximately 15,644 electric vehicles in Europe, which is admittedly much lower than the 2.26 million EVs that they sold in China, which makes perfect sense. They are a Chinese company. They can sell without shipping costs and hefty taxes in China. They're clearly a lot cheaper in China as well. So BYD obviously know that the EU has about 720, 730 million people within its borders at any one time. So it can be a place to make a huge amount of cash for companies like BYD if they can get in early, like they are trying desperately to do. People in Europe, they're desperate for cheap EVs, but they just don't have the options yet. Unless you are happy with things like the Dacia Spring and the Nissan Leaf, things like that. They're basically cars with no battery cooling on or proper thermal management on the batteries, which is a crazy idea. 80% of you agreed when I ran the last poll that it is something you should never do categorically, is what I asked, and 80% of you agreed. So anybody who knows about the Nissan Leaf will know just how crap of an idea that can be. Not always, if you live in a reasonably a bit of a cold place, but generally speaking, it is a very crap idea, I think. BYD's European head, Michael Hsu, he's assured customers that their connected car data, all the data in the car, basically all the cameras and all the dash cam footage and where you go, your travel data and stuff, that will remain within the bounds of Europe, and it will not, and it isn't even possible, he says, to reach China, or even the BYD headquarters, which you might think is a kind of loophole, isn't it? Like a kind of keyhole to that data. So that ensures basically the same protections currently in place. Those protections will stay in place in the future for anybody that buys a BYD, he said. He was speaking at FT's Future of the Car conference, and he emphasized the importance of managing customer data and in compliance with GDPR for the brand's success in Europe. I think it's much more serious than that. I think that is a small concern relative to all the other things, such as the looming 100% tax, I suspect, in a week and a half's time. BYD recently launched the BYD Seal in Europe, and it also offers the Atto 3 and the BYD Dolphin. Also, this year, the BYD Seagull is going to be offered in Europe, basically. That's somewhere around August, I think it is. So the company has made its connectivity and affordability central to its marketing strategy, its PR campaign, if you will. So he also said, we have our internal processes to control, but the key takeaway is no data transfer. No data will transfer outside of Europe. That's what he said. We've selected data management partners, he also said. We use Google Cloud services, and Google doesn't have services in China, so customers don't have anything to worry about. BYD has partnered with French operator as well. It's called Orange for its telecoms and connectivity services. Hsu also explained, quote, even for the shipment and manufacturing data, we are running on SAP, which is a German company, and we send emails by Microsoft. So we don't use any Chinese platform for transferring our key data, he says, which sounds really convincing. I would still imagine that Chinese, BYD, Wang Chuanfu in China can sit there and probably pull up some data from somewhere. I should imagine. I don't know for sure, though. Hsu's comments on data privacy come amid a huge surge of Chinese models entering the market, such as the Seagull, Dolphin, Seal, like I said, the MG4. You've got the smart cars as well from Geely, Volvos. Various governments banning Huawei products from 5G networks due to national security concerns. Nobody really knows if it's warranted or not. Nobody actually knows that. Some people in the comments will definitely tell me that it is really warranted, this concern. And I can see that. I can see a good argument for both sides. I'm on the fence. So I think it's so bad though. Even Chinese people in China, Chinese people, comedians, for example, are inflating these rumors on the internet and being banned out of China as well whilst they're saying these things out. That's how bad it is, I think. So it's clear that there is something to be concerned about, but I don't think the average person that wants to drive to the shops for groceries, bread and milk, things like that, I don't think those people should be concerned. If you're going to drive to the coast, I don't think BYD need to know that you're driving to the coast of England. I don't think they mind really. The European Commission is investigating claims that Chinese EV brands benefit from heavy subsidies, giving them an unfair advantage over European brands. Xu dismissed these claims, stating, this is PR speak, by the way. He says these incentives are given from the state to the end user. Meanwhile, other car brands generally welcomed this competition, which I think is brilliant. Really, hats off to Linda Jackson, the boss of Peugeot. She said, I've been in the industry for a very, very long time. I remember when the Japanese came into the market, we went, oh, the Japanese. And then we did it for the Koreans. Now it's the Chinese that are coming along. I see it as a positive challenge, she said. Do I stay awake at night because of the Chinese? No. But am I complacent? No, no way. You've really got to be right now at the top of your game. And people forget it's not just about buying the car, it's also largely the after sales too. And we've got all of the experience in terms of after sales, dealer networks, and part supply. Those are as yet untested for China, is also something she said. I've heard hit and miss things. For example, the after sales care for MG, a bit rubbish by and large. Most people seem to just agree with that comment. The cars themselves, though, really, really, really nice. Obviously, the MG4, anybody who's got one, you will love it, probably. And I'm sure that some people will take issues with certain things. You can literally do this with Toyotas and Hondas, by the way, in the same way. You might not like that there's no lumbar support in some of the MG4s, for example. Also, if you've got a bit of an issue, some people are having good after sales customer support. Some people are having very crappy after sales support by MG, for example. But this also happens with Toyota and Honda. So basically, I hold those two on a plinth because they are really some of the best companies for just making really good quality cars, obviously. I really like her stance on this. I really, really do. And this is a very healthy way to take a stand. In the end, we as consumers will be the ones to decide, I think, which companies are good enough to stay around when we keep buying their vehicles and when we don't keep buying their vehicles. I want to know if any of you that are watching have any thoughts about any of this stuff. Please feel free to write them in the comments. I'll be reading the comments straight away afterwards when this video is posted. For those of you that are new to the channel, I'm Ben Alexander and I make EV news videos generally every day, and I generally prefer talking about smaller or relatively affordable EVs, not so much the crazy expensive stuff, because nobody can afford that stuff, so I don't really like to shine too much of a light on it. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to subscribe because it's free and you should get notified when I make a new video. If you do two things, you subscribe and then you press the notification part, the little arrow or the bell, to tell it to, because subscribing alone doesn't mean you're going to get notified when I post something. So I make videos every day or every other day, so thank you for watching.